For as long as I can remember, my father was my hero. He was the kind of man everyone in the neighborhood respected. Calm, disciplined, kind, and hardworking. He never missed church on Sundays, always prayed before meals, and treated my mother like a queen. At least, that's what I thought. But sometimes, even the strongest-looking walls hide cracks that no one sees. It all began about 6 months ago. My father started coming home late. At first, he said he was working overtime because of a new project at the office. Mom believed him without question. She trusted him completely. But soon, the excuses became routine. Traffic was bad. The boss needed me to finish something urgent. The client meeting took longer than expected. Every night it was something different. Yet his eyes began to change. He stopped looking at Mom the same way. When she'd ask if everything was okay, he'd just smile and say, "I'm fine, honey." But I knew he wasn't. I noticed how he stopped talking during dinner, how his phone would ring, and he'd quickly excuse himself to answer outside. And one day I hugged him before he left, and I caught a faint scent of perfume. It wasn't Mom's perfume. It was softer, sweeter, unfamiliar. That was when I started to feel something inside me break. Was my father hiding something? For days I battled with myself. I told myself no, he wouldn't do that, not Dad. But the uneasy feeling in my chest refused to go away. So one Friday night, I made a decision that would change my life forever. I decided to follow him. He left around 7:30 in the evening. He looked unusually neat, clean-shaven, wearing his best blue suit, and even humming a soft tune as he walked out the door. He told Mom, "Don't wait up, it might be a long night." As soon as I saw his car disappear down the street, I grabbed my mother's spare car keys and followed him. I stayed a few cars behind so he wouldn't notice me. My hands were trembling on the steering wheel. The city lights blurred through my tears as I followed him down a road I'd never seen him take before. He wasn't heading toward his office downtown. Instead, he drove to the edge of the city, to a quieter area filled with small shops and roadside diners. He parked in front of a restaurant called the Golden Palm Diner. The sign flickered in the night, and my heart began to race faster. He stepped out of the car, straightened his tie, and checked his reflection in the side mirror. Then he smiled. That smile broke me, because I hadn't seen him smile like that in months. A few seconds later, a woman walked out of the restaurant. She was young, elegant, and beautiful. Too beautiful. She ran up to him, and before I could even blink, she kissed him. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. It felt as though the world stopped spinning. My father, the man who taught me about honesty, respect, and loyalty, was kissing another woman. I sat there in the car, trembling. Every part of me wanted to scream, to cry, to storm in and confront him. But I couldn't move. I just sat there watching them talk and laugh like a couple in love. After a while, they went inside the restaurant together. Through the glass, I saw them sitting close, holding hands, sharing smiles. It was as if I was watching a stranger, not my father. Tears streamed down my face. I didn't even realize how long I had been sitting there. When they finally came out, he held her hand as they walked toward his car. Then they drove off again, and I followed. My heart sank when I saw where they stopped next, a small hotel on the other side of town. He opened the car door for her, helped her out, and they both walked into the hotel. That was when I couldn't take it anymore. I turned my car around and drove straight home, crying so hard I could barely see the road. When I got home, Mom was in the living room watching TV. She looked up and smiled. "Oh, you're home early. Did you see your dad on your way back?" I froze. My throat tightened. I wanted to scream, "He's cheating on you!" But I couldn't. I just shook my head and said softly, "No, I didn't see him." That night, I cried myself to sleep. Every image of my father laughing with that woman replayed in my mind like a nightmare. I felt betrayed, not just for my mother, but for myself. He was my role model, my protector, and now, a stranger I couldn't recognize. For days, I avoided him. I barely spoke during breakfast. When he tried to hug me, I pulled away. He noticed something was wrong but didn't say a word. He just looked at me with tired eyes, as if he wanted to explain but didn't know how. One evening, I sat on my bed staring at the pictures I had taken on my phone. Pictures of him with that woman, laughing, holding hands, and walking into the hotel. My chest hurt. And then, I made another decision. I was going to tell Mom. When I told her, she went silent. At first, she didn't believe me. She said, "Your father would never do that." But when I showed her the pictures, she gasped and dropped her cup of tea. Her hands trembled, her eyes filled with tears. That night, she didn't speak to him. She waited in the living room until he came home. When he walked in, she held out the photos with shaking hands. He looked at them and his face went pale. For almost a minute, he didn't say a word. Then, with tears in his eyes, he said softly, "I can explain." But Mom shouted, "Explain what? The woman? The lies? The hotel?" He fell to his knees and began to cry. I had never seen my father cry before. He looked broken, like a man who had carried a secret for far too long. And then he told us the truth. That woman was not his mistress. She was my half-sister's mother. Before he met Mom, he had a short relationship with her. They were young and in love, but her family moved abroad before she could tell him she was pregnant. He didn't know he had a daughter, not until recently, when she found him through a letter and came to Nigeria to meet him. He said he had been meeting her secretly, trying to know her better before introducing her to us. He didn't want to shock us or hurt Mom, so he kept it hidden, not realizing how much pain his silence caused. Mom was speechless. I was too. The truth didn't erase the pain, but it changed everything. He wasn't cheating. He was trying to reconnect with the past. A week later, he brought the woman to our house. Her name was Nina. She was kind, humble, and surprisingly looked a lot like me. Same eyes, same smile. She cried when she met us, apologizing for everything that happened. Mom hugged her, and for the first time in months, I saw peace return to my father's face. It wasn't easy. It took time for the wounds to heal, and trust had to be rebuilt slowly. But eventually, our family found forgiveness. Now every time I see Dad and Nina together, I remember that night I followed him. I remember the tears, the heartbreak, the anger, and how close I came to misunderstanding everything. That night taught me something powerful. Sometimes what we see is not the whole story. Sometimes secrets are not meant to hurt, but to protect. And sometimes love can hide behind the most painful truths. Have known about my sister. If I hadn't seen him that night, our family might never have healed. It took one painful night to reveal a truth buried for over 20 years. And though it broke us at first, it also brought us closer than ever before. So whenever I remember that moment, the car lights fading into the dark, the cold wind brushing against my face, I whisper to myself, sometimes following the truth hurts, but it's the only way to heal.